So excited to be back in the house with you this morning. Look, before I get started, let me just say this. What a wonderful organization we have. What a wonderful place we have where we can come and learn new skills, uh, to really practice and hone being not just the leader that we choose to be or the speaker we choose to be, but the person that we choose to be. Here's an example. This morning, I had it all planned out. I was ready for this presentation. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty darn good with my computer and Zoom. I mastered it, but the computer didn't work. This morning, it let me down. And I had to figure out, what do I do now? There's a whole team of people and a lot of participants who are depending on me to show up well. Well, I knew that I first had to pull out what I was going to teach, and that's emotional intelligence. I had to take a few breaths, gather myself, build up a little bit self motivation, and remember that there were other ways around because you see, emotional intelligence is all about adaptability. It's about maintaining your composure. And that's exactly what I had to do. So I've switched things around in wonderful Toastmaster fashion. I'm not at my computer, I'm using my phone. So if you see me pressing buttons, well, I'm experimenting. Why do I share that with you? This is why. You see, every day as a member of Toastmasters, each one of us have this wonderful, wonderful opportunity to experiment. Not to show up in our clubs, in our meetings, in our interactions as perfect human beings, but rather people that are striving to be better at everything they do. Today, we're going to talk this morning about emotional intelligence. Later, there's a session on feedback and conflict. But I think this session should be the starting point for everything that you do going forward. I hope that you hear the elements of emotional intelligence this morning, that you learned something new about uh, what leaders are looking for, what organizations are looking for, where you show up in this whole area of emotional intelligence, and start to use Toastmasters to practice, because that's what it's all about. Not to show up perfect, but to see every opportunity as just that, a gift or opportunity to hone your skills. So, with that said, I am super excited to have my colleague, my personal president of my club, Speakers Roundtable Advanced Club, Renisha Allen, who's going to help me out today by typing out a few notes. So watch your chat. She's going to summarize for me what you might not or might otherwise see on screen. So here we go. I'd like for you to add to chat, and maybe Melissa, you can help me as well if you'll help me read chat. If I don't grab them all, then certainly chime in. But here's my question, and I want you to be honest, like as honest as you can possibly be. How are you doing? Type in chat. Tell me, how are you feeling right now? All right, it's coming. I can feel it. I can feel it. Okay, I see. Jackie says excited for Christmas. I see stressed. And Fair to Midland, motivated, excited about today's content. Ah, nice, nice, nice. Resilient, enthusiastic. Ah, uncomfortable, curious, expectant, fair, stressed. Ah, wow, 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 wow. I was a little down before. Motivated. Look at that. Excited to be able to see clear again. Yeah, how about that? Yay, yay. That's something to be excited about. Look, these are all emotions. On this call, every one of us has experienced some form of emotion in this very moment. Now, I want you to stop, close your eyes, and think about one person, either a coworker, a leader, maybe it's somebody in your family. I want you to think about this person and When you think about how well they show up in your life, what is one thing that they do that really impresses you? Think about that one person and that one thing, and then put that in check for me. Ah, consistency. They check on you, they're understanding, they're supportive, they're solid. I like this. They listen well to me, they're trustworthy. They're consistent, joyful. Mm, they're positive, they're unconditional love. They listen actively and they allow you to be yourself. Oh, what does it feel like when somebody's non-judgmental and they really, really can hear you? See, these people are exhibiting emotional intelligence. Years ago, people thought that your IQ was what was most important, like your intelligence. And that's the way organizations and the world at large decided whether someone was fit to serve or to lead. Well, we've found out now that IQ alone is not it. Our emotional intelligence, or EQ, is equally, if not more important. You see, that difference in terms of how we show up emotionally can make a difference. You just said it: understanding, listening, non judgmental. So it's not just about the technical skills. Now, let's go back to Toastmasters because this is our practice ground. I want you to really think about this. It's not all about what you do. Sure, there's work to be done, there are tasks to be completed, whether it's in Toastmasters, at home, at work, but it's really how you show up. When you think about your family, your siblings, your cousins, are you all exactly the same? Probably not. And each one of us wants people to see us for who we are. I love that. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Well, what does that mean? It means I want you to see me for me. I want you to meet me where I am. Well, that's what other people want from you. So, whether you're standing up, delivering a speech, the audience, when they give you feedback, they're saying, "This is what I need to hear." And then another says, "Well, I like it this way, or I would have preferred." No offense to be taken. You see, individuals with high emotional intelligence aren't bothered by that. They receive it because they understand that other people have different perspectives. And in order to really convey your message or to lead someone effectively, they've got to be able to be influenced by you. So remember, how just don't get wrapped up in that. All right, here we go. EQ. Let's understand what it is. Emotional intelligence is really understanding yourself. It's having a real good understanding of who you are and then how to manage your own emotions. That's the first thing. The second thing is then understanding other people, like becoming aware of them and how to influence their emotions. You can't change them, but maybe you can influence. Now, I want to go back to this because this is the first thing, and this is what most people miss. It's first you learn about yourself. What am I good at? What am I not so good at? What makes me angry? If you're like me, you've probably heard people say, "Oh, I know you better than you know yourself." How can you know someone better than they know themselves? Does anyone know your thoughts? Do people know when you've made a mistake, but then you go home and you repent or you ask for forgiveness or you regret what you've done? They don't know that. And if we hold tight to what people did yesterday or the year before or the year before that, then are we being fair? See, people with high emotional intelligence knows how to let people off the hook. And the way you let people off the hook is to first learn how to let yourself off the hook. That's the part that we miss too often. We study other people a lot and pay little attention to ourselves. As a matter of fact, when I ask my clients, what do you want? I mean, what do you really want? You'd be surprised how many of them go, I don't know. And I'm not talking about people who are just starting in their careers. I'm talking about executives who have risen up the ranks, whether it's in age or in title, and they still don't know exactly what they want. That's because life, kids came, the house came, the job came, the responsibilities came, and you lose sight. So I'm spending a little bit of time on this piece because this is where most of us get stuck, and that is on our own self awareness and understanding ourselves. Here's another thing: we're constantly evolving. We're not the height we were at 10. We gain weight, we lose weight. We're driving to work, we change lanes, we get back in. I mean, we're constantly changing. And so it's important that we understand how to adapt to these changes within ourselves and to stay balanced. Now, when we talk about emotions, let me mention that emotions, there are a set of emotions that we all have. There's anger, there's disgust, there's happiness and joy, there's peace. All of these are natural stimuli that are created either within ourselves, things we think about. We bump into some, that hurt. Oh, that brings me joy. Or it could be environmental, based on where you live, whether you walk to your destinations, you take Uber, the driver, could be traffic. It could be you live in a cold region or rainy. They tell me in Seattle that depression is the number of people who are depressed is a lot greater just because of their environment. So remember, emotions are normal. Here's the kicker: we get to choose, and we get to choose, each one of us, whether these emotions are short lived or they stay with us for long periods of time. At the core of emotions, they are really an indicator. There are insides telling us something has happened, and they're just an alert. So if you think of it, not to stay with you, our aim is to have emotions, that emotional experience, recognize it's there and let it go. Oh man, I'm so hungry. Do I keep complaining about being hungry, or do I go and address it? Or something made me very angry. I feel the anger and I figure out what's going on, why I'm feeling angry, and then I address it. Let's talk about these 5 components of emotional intelligence before we go any further. The 5 are this: self awareness, which again is understanding yourself. The second is self management, which is like regulating yourself. So when you recognize something is happening, you yourself can go and tweak yourself to respond differently. The third is self motivation. A lot of times, particularly in our organization, we tend to look for other people to motivate us. Oh, that was good. Or even at home. How do I look? Oh, you look great. And if social media, I mean, come on, we're looking for likes. We want people to scroll and like our information. If they don't, then those who have low self-esteem can be affected by that. It's important that we become self-motivated. The fourth one, well, it's social awareness. So now you've left yourself and you're starting to understand the people around you and how they operate. And the fifth is empathy. Now, empathy and social awareness, I think, well, we could do better, but we've got that. I think the ones we have to focus on are the first 3: the awareness, the management, and the motivation. Why? Because when we start to be able to motivate ourselves, to understand ourselves and can regulate, we'll be more gentle with other people, more giving with other people. And it will, well, things will go a lot smoother. All right. So here's my question to you all. Are you ever triggered? Do people ever trigger something in you, some emotion, and get you all worked up? Well, I'd like for you to take some time out with your Toastmasters colleagues now to talk about your triggers. So we're going to go and break into breakout rooms for just a bit. Let's say 5 minutes. So here's your charge. I want you to go to your breakout room and only you can introduce yourselves by name. Don't give your whole bio with your club and club number and your address and your children's names, but just who you are. Um, why you're here would be nice, but then just tell people about what triggers you and makes you really sad. What triggers you makes you angry. Think about those moments. Before you go and accept the breakout request, here's what I really want you to do. I want you to be honest. Remember, this is about self-awareness. It's not about putting up a perfect face and showing up in perfection. So let's make this a safe place for one another and share your triggers. All right, 5 minutes, and then I'll see you back here for more of our talk.
Toastmasters, just grab a breakout room to join, 1 through 25. Since it did not automatically select, just go ahead and join a breakout room. All rooms are open for the next 5 minutes.
I don't see one, Yolanda.
Where do we do that?
Yes.
Check your toolbox at the bottom, breakout rooms. All rooms are open. Just scroll down, pick a room 1 through 25.
We don't have that.
Yeah, we don't have that.
We don't have it.
I don't have it either.
What?
Okay, no worries. Here's what we'll do. I want some of you, let's just do it in plenary. No problem. Because look, this is all about adaptability. So raise your electronic hand if you're bold enough to share with us a trigger. So I want, let's say, I think we have time for maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll just do it quick. So go ahead, get in line. You'll come to the top of the screen and I want to hear from you. So here we go. Thank you, Octavia, for being the first. Welcome. Or Fran or whoever comes up. I'll leave it to you, Melissa, or the team to open mics. Melissa?
All right. Fran?
Like so, instead of having try and of them getting enough oil around.
Can't hear you.
Okay, thank you, Natanya. The thing that triggers me, it makes me angry and it frustrates me and it makes me sad is when things are unfair. When I see something unfair happening to someone, and it may be to me or it may be to someone that I'm around, but that's what triggers me.
Thank you for sharing, Fran, and good to see you.
Yes. Octavia.
Yes, ma'am. Lateness, or people being late for appointments. Not aware of, they don't consider your time and just totally immune to it. It makes me a little angry.
Thank you, Octavia.
Okay.
Is it Lesia? Lesia? Terrible with names.
Good afternoon. It's Lisa. It's spelled a little differently. Yes, thank you. People don't listen when you're speaking or you're talking or about something, or even if they ask you a question and you give the answer, they talk over you and they don't listen. And I just shut down. I stopped talking because you're not listening to my answer or giving me the respect that you asked for. So you really didn't want to hear what I had to say. So people who don't listen. So that triggers me.
Thank you, Lisa.
Rod Alexander. We can't hear you, Rod. Nope, we still can't hear you. All right. So the next hand up I see is that Shay?
Shay.
Shay.
Yes. Yes, what triggers me, Lecia kind of touched on it. So I'd like to just kind of piggyback off that is being interrupted when speaking. It makes me feel triggered. I feel very unheard, like my ideas or thoughts aren't valued. And people that are just bring you problems without having tried anything, or they're just seeking solutions or problem solving from me versus having done any of the work. So that's what triggers me.
Thank you, Jay.
Not seeing any other hands. Am I missing anyone? Oh, Barry, you've got your hand raised.
Yes. Yeah. What was the question?
What triggers you?
I came kind of late, so I apologize to everyone. So what was it? Sounded like something like a debate or differentiating.
So the question
subject.
is, what triggers you? When you're in communication with others, what triggers you?
Oh yeah, I go down that road almost not every day, but I got techniques for them now. I figured that what I do, like me and my friend, we have a misunderstanding, and like Lisa had mentioned, I agree with the two classmates ahead of me or so. We have a and they talk over me, and I give them maybe them talk over me maybe one or two more times, and then okay, the third time I start talking over them. You see, I start talking over them, then they talk over me aloud, then I talk over them even twice as loud, right? And it's not like a major confrontation that's gonna lead to violence. You see what I'm saying? But it's just to get a point across. And then they said, no arguing, not arguing. Then I said, I'm not arguing, I'm just compromising. You see what I'm saying? That's how I better keep it nice and smooth and mellow. You see what I'm
Very good.
saying? Yeah,
Thank you.
that's where I come from.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing.
You're quite welcome.
Lee?
Hey, good morning, everyone. This one for me is one of my core values. I do not do well when I see disrespect to others. So that's one of my triggers. It's also one of my core values.
Very good. Thank you, Lee.
And I see a hand raised for Earl King.
Hey, good morning. Well, actually, good afternoon, everyone. Hey, Natanya. A trigger for me is when I encounter, I'm interacting with folks who have like a sense of entitlement. That, I don't know, that just triggers me when folks kind of feel like they're entitled to something without having to really kind of like work for it or earn it or get rewarded for. I don't know. That's just kind of a trigger for me. But yeah.
Very good. Thanks. And good to see you, Earl.
And I see a hand raised for, is that Colleen? Oh. Colleen, are you there?
I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I saw that.
No, that is great. I did put something in the chat. Let's see if my camera will be cooperative. So let's see. Technology is being fun today. So let me see if it's cooperative. Okay, not quite, but okay, I'll still work on that. But one of the things, we talk a lot about confidence in Toastmasters, and that is great. It is essential, it's important, and yet arrogance. There is a line when arrogance is crossed, and I have like almost zero tolerance for arrogance.
Thank you. We'll take one last one.
All right, I see Renee Peoples.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, the one thing that sticks out of my mind is disrespect, not being heard from the other side. They just wanted to, I guess, give their voice or overtalk me and not listen to what I have to say. So that definitely is a trigger for me.
Thank you, Renee. And thank you, Colleen Marie. And thanks everyone who contributed, either sharing their thoughts verbally or putting them in chat. Look, we're all triggered by something. It's common. Let me explain something though. When we talk about leadership, leadership is not a title. Leadership is a behavior. Management is a title. But leadership is a behavior. So it doesn't matter what your rank is, you can be a leader. And in Toastmasters, we're learning to be leaders. Leaders work with people who are at varied stages of life, who maybe haven't come to understand that they're talking over people, or that they're being disrespectful, or they're not listening actively, because each one of us has a blind spot. When you talk about emotional intelligence, particularly as relates to leadership, it's about having all of this happening around you from different team members, because one could be disrespectful, another one could not be listening, another one could be arrogant. How do you deal with that? That's where you knowing yourself, you being able to regulate, and you being self-motivated keeps you steady in the middle of all the chaos. Here's another kicker, and this is, you say, well, how do I overcome this? When we have triggers, when there are things that annoy us, particularly those that consistently, oh, I knew they were going to do that, here they go again, it always happens. Oftentimes, there's something inside of you that needs to be removed. We'll say like a thorn, all right? Let's say you bump a rose bush and a thorn gets stuck in your finger. And you try to get that little thing out, and you go to pulling it with tweezers and the likes, and you can't get it. And someone tries to help you, and you jump, right? Whenever they come close to that thorn, you move, you react. No. Now, if you get it out, it's gone, it's over, not a problem. But if you leave it, thing hurts over and over, and it goes deeper and deeper. I'd like for you to watch a video. This is a video of Oprah Winfrey and Michael Singer. Michael Singer is the author of a book called The Tethered Soul. And Michael talks about this whole notion of a thorn and what it is. I want you to watch it, and then we'll talk about it once the video finishes.
My other favorite chapter of my new favorite book, The Untethered Soul, is removing your inner thorn. We all have them, right?
Yes, we do.
Do you still have some thorns?
Of course.
You do. Okay. The spiritual journey is about constant transformation. So you were saying, imagine, can you just do this for our audience? That whole passage on imagining you have a thorn in your arm that directly touches a nerve. Can you do that?
So the analogy we were using is, if you had a thorn that was touching directly to a nerve, so much so that anything that touched it caused pain inside of you. So if you walked, difficult to walk through the woods and the leaf touched it, you weren't able to walk. If you were trying to interact with people, it caused a disturbance. And the key point of it is you have two choices. One is you can either try to avoid everything in your life that touches that thorn,
right,
or you can do this amazing alternative, which is take it out. All right? If you try to avoid it, you will be avoiding it for your entire life. It will go on
Which is what
constantly.
we're all doing, right?
Yes, it is.
We're all doing. We're trying. We got our thorns in, and we don't want anybody to touch them.
Yes.
And if they touch them and they irritate our little thorn, we're upset because you shouldn't have touched my thorn.
Yes.
That's the whole.
And that's the game that we play, is how do I build a life that avoids touching all this stuff that happened to me that I can't handle? When they happened, I couldn't handle it. And now it's caused all these soft spots inside of me.
Thorns.
Thorns. So I need to create a life, train everybody around me, all right, so they don't ever touch
Avoid my
that.
thorn.
Don't touch.
Some people even say that. Don't you go there
That's
with
right.
me.
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Exactly
yeah.
right. The alternative is to understand you can remove that thorn inside of you the same as you can remove it outside. And if you remove it, you will never have to think about it again, and you can start to enjoy your entire life. And that is spirituality.
That is spirituality. Now, how do you know what your thorn is?
Disturbance tells you. Just like pain happens when you hit the thorn outside,
yes,
disturbance happens inside.
Because it's never what is actually happening.
Right.
It's what is happening is irritating your thorn.
It was put in there before.
That's
very good.
That's good. That's
Very
good.
So those events will show
That's
you.
good. Y'all get that? That's really good. So even when you see your husband leaves the, drawers open or the whatever open or the left, it's not about what's going on.
Right.
It's about the thorn
Yes.
that was there.
Yes.
So, okay, how do we then begin to remove the thorns? That's
Right.
the spiritual journey, is it not?
Yes, it is. When something hits it, you will feel a disturbance pop up inside of you, right? And you have to choose right then, what are you going to do about that?
Okay, so, and by something hitting it, meaning you're in a conversation, you're in your office, somebody says something, it hits a nerve, you think they have disrespected you,
whatever.
they have stepped out of bounds, they shouldn't have said that, your boss did something, your child did something, that's the nerve. But what's the difference between that and they really did do something?
The difference is you always start with saying, do I want to be disturbed? Do I like being disturbed? No, I don't like being disturbed. So I have a choice. An event happened outside. I can deal with that event without being disturbed. In fact, I promise you I can deal with it better without being disturbed. Disturbance isn't helping you. Disturbance is hurting you.
Got it.
And so you are way better off learning how to deal with the disturbance. And that is also how you remove the thorn. They are directly related. The fact that the situation outside stimulated this disturbance inside of you means that you've uncovered something stored inside of you that needs to come out.
How about that? What did you get from that? Did that make sense? See, oftentimes we think it's the person right in front of us who's the problem. But most times it's not. It could be something that happened in our childhood, something a past coworker said, something has happened to you that never got dealt with. And we kept burying it. That thorn stayed inside. And so anytime someone comes near, we react. I said earlier, your emotions are there just as an alert. It's that disturbance to say, something just happened. As leaders, as speakers, it's important that we learn how to feel the disturbance and then regulate. Recognizes the disturbance, well, that's awareness. That's understanding that something doesn't feel good. Our job is not to stop and blame everybody on the outside of us, but to recognize, I don't like feeling this way. What's causing it? Now we get to regulation. This is where we began to manage that feeling. So some of the first things you can do when you feel that disturbance and you recognize it's there is to stop and breathe. Far too often we don't breathe. Now, we do on autopilot. We wouldn't be here if we weren't breathing at all. But there's something about taking deep breaths. It's easy. As a matter of fact, do it with me. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth really loud. Take another one in through your nose and out through your mouth. And one last one in through your nose and out through your mouth. Can you just tell a difference? See, when tense things happen, things that we don't like, things that frighten us, things that make us nervous, we tense up and you don't realize you stop breathing. Breathe makes a difference. Another something you do is take a break. Get up, walk away from your desk, walk away from the situation, take a break and come back to it. And here's another one that my colleague, Vicki Nethling, taught me years ago. Sometimes I get frustrated like everybody else. And she's saying, Tanya, when you're on a call, take a piece of paper and just write all kind of dirty notes or whatever you want and then scratch it out, rip the paper and throw it away. But you release the tension. Find ways to recognize that it's there, but not hold on to it. What are ways we hold on to? I'll tell you what. And by the way, whoever's timekeeper, keep me honest so we don't go over time. The way that you recognize when you're holding on to it, if a situation happens, let's say at work, and it happens, you're annoyed by it, and you come home and you tell a family member, And then you get on the phone and you tell someone else. And then you're thinking about it. And you said, I'm not worried about it. I'm not bothered by it. Every time you repeat, you are creating an impression in your mind and in your heart, and it stays. Let it go. Find something good to think about to replace that negative experience and that negative thought, because when you don't, it will stay and you'll get more of it. So experience it and let it go. All of our emotions, remember, they're there just to let us know. They're just to let us know there's a disturbance. So I said, breathe, take a walk, write something on a piece of paper. Journaling is another way. So pull out a book, write your thoughts down. Just again, ways to release. Now, when we talk about regulating or managing your emotions, self-awareness is all about what's happening and how do I make it better. So, what could I say differently? You're listening to feedback, a session on feedback in a little bit. I want you to think about your emotional intelligence and your self-management when you're taking this course. When you're giving feedback, are you considering the people and where they may be and what they may be going through? They may not be as emotionally intelligent as you. So that's important to consider. When you're receiving feedback, are you open to it or are you closed? Your body language makes a big difference. So when you talk about regulating, just with feedback, instead of receiving feedback like this, I don't know if you can see my arms closed, and your body language is indicating you really don't want to hear it, or you're sitting back on the Zoom camera, or it's somebody who always gives you some crazy feedback that you hate hearing. Well, that's their perspective. If you want to influence them, you need to hear that. Instead, open up your body and lean in. Again, here's something that I teach my clients with being more emotionally intelligent. Your body language makes a huge difference. And it speaks much louder than anything you say. As a matter of fact, check yourself right now on camera. How are you showing up in this camera today? What do you look like? Are you smiling? Are you frowning? Leaning back says I'm disengaged. Leaning forward is more interesting. So when you think about the triggers that people are feeling, how are you showing up? Might you be triggering them and not even know it? So paying attention not only to other people's body language, but what you're doing with your own makes a huge difference. Let me stop a moment because I do want to take some time for questions. If you've got specific questions you want to ask, I want to make sure we cover off on those. Anybody have any questions so far or comments? This is your chance. Octavia.
Yes, ma'am. I am a leader in several ways. I have a high school group that I'm the chairperson for, and I believe in the Robert's Rules of Order because I think it definitely keeps order in the meeting. But there are certain people that just overlook it completely. And sometimes it bothers me. So I have to learn how to get past that and know that they just don't know what the rules are. And, I will tell them at some point, we're observing Robert's Rules of Order. And so then later on, well, I'll just give you an example. A couple of weeks ago at my meeting, it got a little crazy. And this person just insisted on speaking over me. So I told her, I says, listen, I'm in charge. I'm the chairperson. Raise your hand if you want to speak. She came back to me at the last meeting and apologized for the way she acted. I knew that was something I needed to do and say to her, without really, being real hostile. So that was my situation. So should I have done something differently, or was that the way to handle it?
Well, thank God she received it well. So it all depends on the setting, the tone. So it's a little difficult for me to answer that, Octavia.
Uh-huh.
I would say the thing to remember, particularly in Toastmasters and most of our organizations and even at work, we're all learning.
Yeah.
And what we do is we hold one another to perfection. And if they don't show up perfect, then they're not good. If a DTM doesn't operate with certain standards, then they're off. We're all just beings trying to figure it out. Here's the thing to keep in mind too, because you like rules. I'm not saying you do, but let's say you're one who likes rules. You like to follow them. You like to read, and if this is the order, you follow it. That is a beautiful gift, and every team should have someone like you. But there are other people, their brain is not wired that way. They are more free willy, spontaneous. They are not wired that way. So you have to learn maybe to be more flexible. They need to learn to be more structured. And when we learn to appreciate the differences, that's emotional intelligence, then we get to operate more effectively as a unit. Does that
Thank you
help?
very much.
You're
That
very
helped a lot. Okay.
Yes, Eric.
Well, it's interesting, this whole conversation, because I went through this at work yesterday. And as I was having a conversation with some of my employees or people that I work with that I'm the lead of, and conversations were not going well, I was noticing my thought process, their conversation, my reaction, my external facial expressions, all within nanoseconds, because I have realized all of this happens in nanoseconds. It's not 5 minutes long that you get to think about it. So how am I going to respond? No, it's happening so fast that it's interesting that the more I learn about myself and how I react, how I'm observing myself from back here, watching my reaction, listening to what they're saying, how am I going to respond? So this is great. And it's just, I was just wanting to say it all happens in a nanosecond. It's not something you really have a lot of time to think about your answers and your responses.
You're absolutely right, Eric. And it's all about getting into the practice of observing yourself. And not everything on the external, but observing yourself. Write this one down. Rapid detection and quick course correction. Because to your point, that's exactly what has to happen. You've got to rapidly detect that, ooh, there's emotion. I'm reacting. What's happening with me? And then make a course correction. It could be in your body language. It could be in a choice. Now, you could say this is, let me give you one for me. So losing weight has been on my list for quite some time. It is a goal. It is what I choose for myself. And then I find myself in the potato chip aisle at the store. And when I come out of this unconscious state and I go, oh crap, what do I do? Because I really want these chips. So I'm quickly having to make a decision. What do I do? It's important for me to remember who I choose to be, what my goal is, and make the proper choice. That's self-management, that's self-regulation. So it could be in your body language, it could be in your tone, it could be in a decision, it could be accepting other people. It could be something as simple as, do I buy these potato chips or not? And so there have been occasions, many of them, I must admit, where I've picked up the chips anyway. But there have been others where I put them back and gone over to the fruit aisle and chosen fruit instead. But that's awareness and management. And to Eric's point, it happens in nanoseconds. I mean, we're constantly making decisions. You're in traffic. When somebody cuts you off, how do you choose to react? Do you recognize, just like maybe you cut somebody off, that you made a bad choice in that moment and you hope people forgive you? Or do you curse out the people who got in front of you? That's self-awareness and self-management. Because see, once you learn to manage yourself and understand that you're showing up with all of your perfections and imperfections and hoping people will accept you, your job is to understand that other people are likewise showing up with theirs and want to be accepted. And when we talk about other people, you guys talked about triggers. I heard unfair, talk over you, don't listen, interrupts you, disrespects you. This is where active listening comes in. So to be emotionally intelligent, it means that you are exhibiting behaviors where you can manage your emotions. You're not screaming at people. They're not lingering a long time. That you can be calm in situations, that you're showing up and you're adaptable. When change comes about, you're not grumping about it. You're not complaining about it, but you're finding ways to adapt to that change. But when your time comes, you're actively listening, that you're paying attention. Put in chat, what are ways that you can actively listen to other people? Let's see. Ways to actively listen. Repeating, clarifying questions. Yes. Lean in, open your ears, close your mouth. All right, Melissa. Yep. Be engaged, open your mind, lean in. Don't start. Put your phone away. How about that? You're at a restaurant and the phone is out and keeps dinging. Put it away. Stay off your phone. Focus on the person. Respond to their questions, right? Here's another one. Find common ground. When people can feel like you're listening to them, they hear you say, oh, you've got 3 kids? I have 3 as well. Find something that you have in common and keep talking. People will tell you what they want to hear. Pay attention. These are all really, really good. All right. So looks like we've got, is this Cheryl? Cheryl, what's your comment or question?
I'm sorry about that. That was an accident there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We got to hear from you anyway. Glad you're here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Anyone else have a comment or question?
Natanya?
Yes.
I would like, could you share in a quick bit, when you're triggered, what is some pattern disruption that we can use to quickly be in that rapid conversation to choice making? Because sometimes that disruption of that narrative, that pattern has to occur, but that's not something we're great at doing because it's easy to get stuck in that moment that we are feeling or thinking, and it's taking us off a path. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, let's think about it. So I like what Michael said about when you feel the disturbance, the first thing you do in that quick moment is to decide, do you want to feel this? Like you have to make that choice. Some people want to stay in misery. I don't care. I'm going to be mad for 30 years. I want to mourn for 30 years. Some people say they want things forever. So you have to be careful about that because forever you'll get. But you make that decision whether you want it. If you don't, then you start moving toward, how do I change it? First thing I say is watch your thoughts. Thoughts are more powerful than words. Thoughts are more powerful than words. So even though you don't say things aloud, they get registered in your mind when you're thinking about them. So for me, one of the things that I do is when a thought keeps coming up, I have trigger words that I use to break the pattern. I've had relationships that didn't go well, and I would be thinking about it. I can't believe, can you believe? What I learned to do, for me, my trigger word was bless you, or it's 2 words. And so every time that person would come up with that situation, I can't believe, and I go, bless you, just to cut it off at the pass. I'm not going to think about this. But what I wanted to do was not just try to drop it, but to change it. See, here's the deal. If ever you want to change a behavior, replace it with a good one. You don't focus on what you want to drop. Instead, you just replace it with what you do want. So if you run into a situation, you quickly think, I don't want to stay here. So what is it that you really want? If you want to be kind, you find a way to be kind. If you find you're nervous, really want to be confident, you take a deep breath and you tell yourself you're confident. Remember, that's where self-motivation comes in. So it's important that in those moments, you replace what you don't want with what you want. It takes practice. It will not come overnight. That is not what we've been taught. We've been taught to stay in misery, to have shame, to blame, to make it everybody else's problem, instead of owning these things ourselves. So does that help to answer your question, or are you looking for more?
No, absolutely. I love it. I love it. I just know that once in a while, those are the things that we as humans get tripped up by and struggle with the most when our triggers are hitting hard. And I always love to hear people share the pattern disrupts that works for them, because there's always something someone can take away that might help them in those moments, because they happen so quick, as you mentioned before. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes, and thank you for the question. I appreciate it. Bettina.
Yeah, I always think it's a balancing act. So I'd like to share two examples. One, I went to a dentist a couple weeks ago, probably the worst dental experience I'd ever had. I had a gum infection. I was screaming in pain. Every time they gave me a shot, I was screaming, I was crying, I started hyperventilating. And I had to go back a few days later for a post look at that, the gum part that they had stitched up. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, this is really upsetting to me. I need to talk to them about it. So sometimes I do think it's where you have to own the emotion and say, I need to let them know I'm not happy about how this was handled. And to their benefit, I ended up going back to the dentist I usually see, which was in the same dental practice. But on their side, they were willing to listen to me and take constructive criticism and said maybe there was something we could have done better. Maybe we should have been more aware of what was going on and how upsetting it was. So that's kind of an example of where sometimes I felt like I owned the emotion and I needed to share it with them so that then it was gone. Then I didn't feel this festering wound of being really upset that they had not, treated me well. The other thing I would like to share is my sister passed away about 10 years ago or so, and she had cancer. And in the end, there was nothing they were going to be able to do. And I felt like so often they didn't allow, and that's where there's always a balancing act. There's all little things in life we do, but then there's major life-changing things, right? Where we lose a loved one, in terms of sadness and stuff, or in her case where she was going to die. And she felt like when she went to doctors and to all these groups they have people moved, nobody allowed her to be angry about it. And I remember once she just said, it's not fair. And I looked at her, I said, you're right. And she just cried in my arms. So sometimes I do feel you've got to realize when someone needs to be able to express that emotion and let it out in a constructive way that's not harmful to themselves or to other people. But sometimes crying can be very cathartic. And sometimes going and punching one of those boxing bags or whatever, can be very cathartic. And so I do think there has to be some kind of, you also have to kind of realize when there's situations that might be the case.
I like that, Bettina. Thank you for sharing, and my condolences to you and your sister. That leads us to empathy. Empathy is very important, and we miss it far too often, where people just want to be heard. They want to be understood, right? Just listen. We heard that, people saying that was their trigger. So how do you just let people speak and not discount what they're saying? One of the most profound things that leaders can do is to value other people's perspective, and whether it's a new project, something innovative, or whether it's their cancer experience, their health experience, just let them express themselves. That makes a huge difference. Empathy is important. I'll tell you another one, and it's tone. Sometimes we don't get what we want because we present our ideas, we present what we want to say, but it's the tone we use. Well, why can't we do it that way? Is a lot different than, hey, why can't we do it that way? So you want to watch how you're saying what you say, because that may be the issue, or maybe because you're not showing empathy. How, yeah, you want me to understand you, but you haven't listened to me and taken a minute just to allow me to share and feel like you understand. So tone and empathy are important when you talk about emotional intelligence. Terry, before I let you speak, let me just get this in. There have been studies that say 71% of organizations really believe that high emotional intelligence is important. They value it. As a matter of fact, if you go and look at most managerial above roles, you're going to see self-awareness or emotional intelligence as part of the skill sets they're looking for, the qualifications. Now that's 71%, but it's less than 40% who offer it and teach it to their employees. See, our organization gives us opportunity every single day to practice it. And you can become heads and shoulders above everybody else if you become aware of emotional intelligence, aware of your own emotions, regulate them, and use every one of these Toastmasters opportunities to practice. Terry, over to you.
Thank you. I enjoyed everything you've said, and what you said makes a lot of sense. What I just want to basically say, I've learned a lot since I've been in Toastmasters, some of these qualities that you're talking about. And everything you mentioned is totally correct, especially in the corporate world, in the business world that we do, if we are either teachers or in some parts of communications that require us to be our best. We oftentimes try to push in more than what we can do. It's like my mother once told me a long time ago, she says to me, she said, you know, most kindest person in the world. But sometimes you got to remember this. She says, being kind is one thing, but everybody's not going to treat you the same way. You know, you can be kind, but everybody's not going to be as kind as you are. And in that communication concept that you're talking about is truly remarkable, because that's what we have to say to ourselves when we do business. You know, we have to take the good. As another thing she used to talk about, she used to love this movie, you know, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Yeah.
She loved the song. You got to give a little, laugh a little, let your whole heart break a little. She'd tell me that 1,000 times when I'm upset about something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have to do mentally as well as physically when we think about our emotions and doing business like this. And I think all the ideals, ingredients that you just presented is exactly where we need to think about in our actions.
Thank you, Terry. Well said. Well said. So, Ms. Griffin, is that a real hand raise or is that an accident this time? Which is it?
It's another accident. I think I'm having some technical difficulty. My computer is raising its hand on its own. I'm sorry
No,
about that, but I am
that's okay.
loving this
Let's see.
session. Thank you.
No worries. You're making me feel really good because, you know, I had technical issues today. So you are not alone. Don't worry about it. Look, here's what I want you to know.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, you'll be the last
Yeah.
question. I think it's our time to wrap.
Yeah. So Sherry actually sent me the link to join the meeting, and I've been raising my hand, and so my name is not showing. Our name is showing.
Yes. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Then speak. We'd love to hear from you, please.
Yes. Anyway, I just wanted to just kind of make a comment, because I've been listening to everything you've been saying, and really, you know, they are just mechanisms for you to manage your emotions. But you know, I mean, in theory, I mean, it's good, but in practice, I mean, it is. I mean, I try at times. I'll say like, okay, today I'm not going to get angry. You know, but if anything my wife says, I'm not going to get angry. That, you know, there's something that there's a meditation I've been doing, that the world is a simulation, that I'm just going to focus on everything that I want. Anything apart from what I want that anyone says, I'm not going to respond. But hey, my wife would just say something, and I would just you know, that would trip me over. You know, that would trigger me. So yeah, like you said, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of practice. That's something that I'm kind of resonating with. I need to, kind of practice it more and more and more, because it might just happen and you respond. It's hard to really, avoid some triggers.
That's right.
But
So let
yeah.
me share this, because I think I've got about a minute to wrap, and I really appreciate your comment. Here's something for you and maybe others to use. Watch your words. Watch your thoughts and your words. What I heard you say is, you tell your wife, I'm not going to get angry. Here's how the universe works. It hears angry and it gives you more anger, more anger, more anger. Remember, I said, if you want to stop doing something, all you have to do is replace it with what you want. So put your thoughts and your mind on what you want, not what you don't want. So stop talking about anger. Talk about, I'm going to be kind. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be helpful. And that's all you talk about. That's all you think about. And when you start thinking about anger, that's where you use that word, the cut it at the pass, my bless you, so I can stop it because I see it coming. When you start feeling angry, you go, no, 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 no. I'm confident. I'm kind. I'm nice. Say what you want, not what you don't want. Look, emotional intelligence it's not easy, but it's worthwhile. It's worthwhile. I don't care how many technical skills you've gotten, how good you are in your career. It doesn't matter. What really matters is how well we work with each other, how we treat each other, how we listen to each other. But even more than that is how we treat ourselves, how light we are with ourselves, and how we grow to not be so dependent on the world motivating us or building us up or making us aware, but us doing it for ourselves and then graciously doing the same for others. Look, practice. In Toastmasters, when you've got issues, treat it as a gift or an opportunity and practice. And if you need additional help, there's tons of information online. Just simply Google emotional intelligence or self-awareness. It's out there. And if you need one-on-one help, I strongly encourage you to get you a coach, someone who can look at your individual needs and help you along your way. I believe in every one of you. I could not be more proud to be a Toastmaster, to be your colleague, to learn and grow with you. Remember, you do not have to show up perfect. None of us do. Just show up as yourself and keep tweaking and learning more about yourself and being yourself. But also remembering that other people are showing up that way as well. They're learning, they're growing, and they're evolving and becoming better and better every day. It's been my pleasure to be with you. I look forward to seeing you again, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your soft skills training. All right, take good care. I'm Coach Natanya checking out, and back to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Toastmaster Natanya. Can everyone come off mute and give a round of applause for that impactful session?
That was amazing.
Woo!
Honor you.
Thank you.
Honor you.
Thank you.
Fire.
Thank
Thank you.
Oh,
We
man.
honor you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did you
Yes.
get those nuggets?
Great job.
Grab those wisdom nuggets. There was a lot being dropped in that session, and that is how we started out. All right, I'm going to ask you all to go back on mute. We are going to pull up the Mentimeter, and I want you guys to share with us your most impactful moment. I want you to share with us what it is you can immediately do to make change, make it implementation, to do one tiny step today that will help you with your emotional intelligence. Listen, it's all about how we show up, all about the energy we want to bring, who we want to choose to be in every moment, in every presence. We get to make those choices. We're always a choice. And as Toastmaster Natanya shared with us today, we can interrupt those thoughts. We can choose other and replace those thoughts. We hold the power and we hold that fire in our belly that gets to light us up and put us on our way. So will you share those moments with me? Because I want to read them. I want to read them out loud. I want to hear from you. Let's show what we've learned today, all those powerful nuggets that we get to take away. Let me see what we have going on here. Be mindful of my inner thorns. Yes. Can I tell you that book, Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, is one of my absolute favorites. If you've never read it, I will highly encourage you to do so. And if you've read it, open it up and read it again because it is timeless and so, so good. Watch my thoughts. Learn how to be there for myself and others. Yes. Love ourselves. Absolutely. It all begins with holding up that mirror of our own reflection and then showing how we want to be in the world. I love using trigger words whenever I have negative thoughts about something or someone. It takes practice, a lot of practice. It does take a lot of practice. Make a point to start each day. Yes, rapid detection and quick course correction. Somebody was taking notes and listening. On point, on point. Breathe, power of words and thoughts. Oh, let me get a bigger screen so that I can see what's happening here. Oh. All right, I'm not seeing some more responses, but I know you guys are typing them in. Wasn't that amazing? If you weren't really sure what understanding your emotional intelligence was, you are now. And I want to champion all of you. I want to challenge all of you to go and use what was shared today, to take the time. You deserve it. You absolutely deserve to take the time to consider yourself, what you desire, how you want to show up in this world, what you want to leave as your legacy, and how you want to share that with others. We know in Toastmasters that we do by demonstration. We demonstrate who we are as the leaders, the impactful individuals that we are. We demonstrate that for others. And by doing so, it helps them become more self-aware, right? Have the opportunity for self-management and regulation by demonstrating how to disrupt those thoughts, change them out, replace them with what we want. We teach others how to do the same. And I have to tell you, there's nothing better than being able to help someone else figure that out, because understanding EQ, it can be a little tricky when you're first diving in. So the fact that we get to demonstrate and share with others, there's nothing better as a legacy to leave than the fact that you've impacted the lives of someone else to help them reflect on who they are and who they want to be. All right, so I'm not seeing any more Mentimeter. So it is time for us to take a quick break, a 5-minute break. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll see on the screen the timer. Please come back within 5 minutes because we have more deliciousness to share with you. Grab a drink, take care of business, grab your pen and paper, get refreshed, and get back in your seats. We've got 5 minutes. Welcome back. All right. Everybody had a moment, took a break, get back in your seats. We are going to continue on this amazing journey of your soft skills elevation. We have another fantastic session for you. Amazing. All right. So our next session is mastering the art of giving and receiving feedback. Our very own Toastmaster Jerome Hoskins, member of Thrive Toastmasters since 2018, holding several leadership roles during his Toastmaster journey, will be sharing all of the goodness. He is a leader of training and implementation for Auction Edge Inc., a tech company that powers the independent automotive auction industry. He's also the owner and operator of Next Level Consulting and Training, a learning and development consulting business that provides holistic human performance solutions. He's led training initiatives for large-scale global programs, impacting over 3,300 team members across 68 companies. He's served in multiple Toastmasters leadership roles, past evaluation contest winner, and he's a passionate advocate for unlocking human potential, committed to fostering growth, trust, and communication in teams, both in professional and recreational settings. As a learning and leadership development consultant and expert on feedback, he is going to bring invaluable insights to one of the most impactful skills in any workplace. In this session, Mastering the Art of Giving and Receiving Feedback, he's going to guide you through some strategies for delivering constructive feedback and embracing input with openness. Help me welcome to the virtual stage for Mastering the Art of Giving and Receiving Feedback, Jerome Hoskins.
Yeah. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you so much. All right. And greetings, Toastmasters. It's been quite a while since I've been able to say that. So again, I'm going to say greetings, Toastmasters. I'm so glad to be able to be here and share a little bit of soft skills training today. Thank you, Melissa, for that wonderful introduction. And I would like to go ahead and get into sharing slides and start getting some of your participation. Is everyone seeing Mastering the Art of Giving and Receiving Feedback? The front slide. All right, all right. So Toastmasters, as we begin, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be sharing some information, but I'm definitely going to be pulling from your own experiences. The beauty of Toastmasters is that there's not ever just one sage on the stage or just one expert in the room. We all have life experiences, personal experiences, and professional experiences, particularly around giving and receiving feedback. So I'm very interested as we go through this content in hearing about some of your expertise that you're bringing to the session so that we can all hopefully walk away with some valuable tips. That being said, I'd love to start by posing a question to the room. Why do we give and receive feedback? Why does feedback matter? What is important about feedback? I'm going to pause the screen share. I like to see some faces. I would love if I can get some volunteers to just raise hands and just share your thoughts on why is feedback a valuable topic? Why do we give and receive feedback? What's the value there? Is that Makisha? I believe I see your hand.
Yes. To answer your question, sometimes it may depends on the situation, but sometimes you may need it to for growth. Positive feedback can sometimes lead into growth depending on the situation.
Is positive feedback the only kind that can lead to growth?
Sometimes negative can if in the way that is it can sometimes negative can seem like it's can turn into constructive criticism for something that you can work on and improve on. So it's not always, so you're right, it's not always just positive. Sometimes the negative, if you take the feeling out of the sting out of the negative and look at it as constructive criticism, it can help as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. We're definitely going to talk a lot more about the types of feedback. So I want to hear from Che, Earl, Shirley, and then Rod. Rod, you're going to finish us off. Che?
Yes, feedback is important because when people know better, they do better. And if they aren't aware of where they need growth, then they never have an opportunity to develop or improve upon or pivot for themselves. So you know better, you do better.
I love that. Thank you. So Che brought up some words that I definitely love hearing about growth. I love hearing about improvement. Earl, next up, why does feedback matter? Why do we give it? Why do we receive it? Why is it an important thing?
Hey, how you doing, Jerome? I think the more you give feedback, number one, the better you get at it. But I think we also learn as the giver, the thing that we're providing feedback on or feedback about, it kind of teaches us. It's like we're learning from it as well. So we're not just helping someone and becoming better at giving feedback, but also we're kind of learning from it. You know, it's like, okay, it's almost like a speech evaluation. Like you can't really give a good speech evaluation. Well, when you give a good speech evaluation, you become a better speaker. So I just feel like that's important too.
So what I hear Earl saying is the gift is not just for the recipient, it's also for the giver. As we are getting better at giving feedback, we are also learning from that process of providing the feedback. Thank you so much for that contribution, Earl. I appreciate that. Shirley, I see your hand. Why does feedback matter? Why do we give it? Why do we receive it?
Feedback gives us really give us the click of that communication took place. If you have no feedback, then you don't really know whether that person has received or you have received, and you don't know what the others are thinking.
I love that. Thank you. So your perspective is that it's a confirmation of successful communication. Thank you for that. Rod, you're up next. And I do see two more hands. We will take Marianne and Tanya after Rod, and then we'll be done.
So something I actually learned from you several years ago is a phrase that you said, feedback is a gift. And that stuck with me.
Yes.
When you think about a gift or giving someone a gift, something that they will cherish, something that they will use, and that's going to benefit them throughout their life. And so that's what I think of evaluations or feedback, something that's going to benefit someone in the long run. It's something, if it's packaged properly, something that they could use for the rest of their life.
I love it. Thank you so much for that, Rod. Marianne?
Yeah, what I was thinking about is that at the National Speaker Association, they always taught us that there is more than one way to present something. So they said, are you sure that you presented the very best efficient way to say this? So they were always open for say, how can I say it differently?
I love that. Thank you. Because there are so many different ways to communicate or deliver information, and feedback helps us challenge ourselves in have we chosen the best way or a very optimal way to deliver information. Thank you for that. Last up, Natanya.
Yes, when I think of feedback or when I receive feedback, it's not about me. So I don't take it personally. The feedback tells me what the other person is feeling and how they received what I heard, what I said. And if I want everybody to receive it, I need to be open, no matter how they give it, no matter what they say, to what they're seeing and feeling so that I can make tweaks and adjustments to get them to hear me and understand me different and better. So I never take it personally, nor do I take it as I have a problem or some issue with me, but rather this is what this person saw, felt, heard. And if I want them to feel something differently, maybe I just tweak it for them, because if they did it, maybe somebody else is the same. Thanks.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for sharing where you place value in feedback and why each of you believes that we receive feedback and why it's a valuable topic for us to grow in. I want to offer us kind of a goal for feedback. This is obviously not the only way to think about this topic, but I want to offer a goal that we can provide feedback that helps build relationships, helps improve performances, and helps deliver results. Now, in Toastmasters, regularly we're thinking about things that happen in our club levels and in our Toastmasters experiences as we ourselves are helping grow our confidence and capacity in public speaking, in leadership. We think about how we give feedback to help others in our Toastmasters journeys do the same. But we absolutely, across our lives, receive feedback from a variety of sources at home, from family, from people in our lives. We absolutely know that feedback is a very critical part of working relationships, including things like performance reviews and how we interact with peers. So feedback is all around us. But a goal that I would like us to consider is ensuring that the way that we are engaging with giving and receiving feedback can help not only build relationships, can help us perform better, whatever it is that we are doing in those performances, and can help us drive to better results or outcomes. I want to do a quick exercise. Now, Melissa, do I understand that we're probably not going to be doing breakouts?
Oh, no, I got you straight on the breakouts.
Are you sure you got me straight on the breakouts? Oh, okay, so before you click to join your breakout room, I'd like to set up a quick exercise. We are going to post a link in the chat, or I'm going to post a link in the chat. I want you to enter your breakout rooms. I want you to watch a very short, it's only around a minute video. And I want you to consider the feedback that is being provided. All right. So I'm going to cut and paste. Actually, I'm going to ask if one of my facilitators can help me with this. I want one of my facilitators to type this URL into the chat. There are going to be two characters I want you to focus on in this video. On the left of my screen right now, that's the picture of a client in a beauty salon who's providing some very charged feedback to the individual on the right, who is a salon worker, a stylist. In your breakout rooms, just for 3 minutes, I want you to watch the video and just react with each other about what you think about the feedback that is being given from the client to that salon owner.
What's the URL? I'll drop it in the chat.
It's on screen. Am I not sharing anymore? Oh, it would very help if I was. Sorry about that. So here I'm sharing the URL. I can also type it in the chat. Once again, we'll join breakout rooms, watch. It's a 1-minute video, 3 minutes to just discuss how you react to the feedback being given.
If you haven't already, just go ahead and click the join button in the lower right hand, usually corner. I see some people already chatting in their rooms.
Looking for the link.
Guess that covers it.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Looking
my-
for the link. I guess that's it, right?
So in the chat, you should see the link that you can click on to watch the video. If you have a phone, you could always scan that QR code. It's a very short video, and then you should see a join breakout room button as well to get a chance to hop into a breakout room and discuss the feedback example here.
Well, I'm kind of new at this Zoom stuff, so I try to follow you the best as possible.
Oh, I see. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I can do? I can also pull up the link and we can join. For anybody that has not gotten into a breakout room, we can watch it together here.
Hey, baby. Baby? You dating a white girl?
I'm dating a girl who is white. That's what you mean?
Okay. I don't get it, but it's crazy. The only thing crazy is you being in here.
I'm not bothered by it. Nobody over here is bothered by it.
Thank you. I hope y'all don't plan on having any children.
Like I said, she sounds like a real hater and she's insecure.
She's not talking about me.
I'm talking about you that's brushing his hair. You are ignorant. Keep your opinion to yourself because it sounds stupid. All right? I'm letting you know. Black girl to another black girl sounds stupid. As much criticism as we went through as a people, you're gonna go and do it to the next person? What gives you that right?
Why are you defending a white woman, though?
I don't care what she was. She could be purple. I'm defending a woman, period, point blank. That's what she is. She's a woman. Or maybe you're not. I'm sorry. She's not a woman. She's a bird. Get out of here, birdie.
So
They're headed on the way back.
all right, I was just about to say if we can pull everyone back.
Yeah. I saw this before.
Let me know when we're all back from breakout.
Jerome, 98% ready.
Jerome, real quick, I apologize for interrupting. I was in my breakout session and was 4 ladies in there, and we did not have the URL, and so we weren't able to view the video. Is that possible? You can play it again for us now before we get started.
Sure, I can. Sure, I can.
Thank you so much.
So very, very quick video. Again, there's a salon patron, there's a customer sitting, and what I want us to discuss is the feedback that she gave to the salon employee, the stylist.
Hey, baby. Baby? You dating a white girl?
I'm dating a girl who is white. That's what you mean?
Okay. I don't get it, but it's crazy. The only thing crazy is you being in here.
I'm not bothered by it. Nobody over here is bothered by it.
Thank you. I hope y'all don't plan on having any children.
Like I said, she sounds like a real hater and she's insecure.
She's not talking about me.
I'm talking about you that's brushing his hair. You are ignorant. Keep your opinion to yourself because it sounds stupid. All right? I'm letting you know. Black girl to another black girl sounds stupid. As much criticism as we went through as a people, you're gonna go and do it to the next person? What gives you that right?
Why are you defending a white woman, though?
I don't care what she was. She could be purple. I'm defending a woman, period, point blank. That's what she is. She's a woman. Or maybe you're not. I'm sorry. She's not a woman. She's a bird. Get out of here, birdie.
I had to leave my breakout room earlier and I wasn't able to get back in.
Ouch.
I left because I didn't have the URL to see the video.
Understood. So we just watched the video. It's you can tell from the context. If you weren't able to see it in your breakout activity, you'll be able to pick up from the context. So for those who were able to see the video, let's just chat very briefly, just 1 minute. I would love in no particular order. Volunteers, what's your reaction to the feedback that the customer gave to the salon worker? Earl. You're on mute, Earl.
I felt like the feedback was it was effective toward the beginning. At least in my opinion. Like I felt like number one, I like the fact that she was defending another person who was being attacked unfairly. And then she kind of justified and explained why she said what she said. But I think toward the end, when she got into like the name calling and the you know, she kind of got away from the feedback. I just didn't know if it was as effective as it could have been toward the end. Because I think Rod said something earlier. He's like, it's a gift. Like feedback is a gift. And when you provide it, it should be something that people can utilize for life, you know, or just moving forward. And I'm not saying she can't utilize it, but I just felt like toward the end, it got a little bit more personal.
Thank you.
So, yeah. All right.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. So Fran and then Octavia. Fran?
Jerome. I see a lot of the comments in this thing, but my first thing, I wanted to say, ouch, that hurt. And it was very harsh. If you're going to give feedback that you want to have heard by the other person, you have to present it in a way that they would be willing to accept it.
Thank you so much for that. Octavia?
I agree with her. If you want someone to listen, you got to talk in a way that they're going to be all right about listening to you. Otherwise, it's not going to go through.
Thank you so much. So we're talking about words like effective and ineffective, what can cause a person to be willing to receive feedback and not. And one of the first things that I want us to think about when we consider the topic of giving someone feedback is, who are we talking to? So behavioral psychologist Jonathan Haidt argues that we have two sides to us. We have an emotional side, that's the elephant. And then we have an analytical, rational, governing side, that's the man on top riding, the rider. So in Haidt's analogy, you consider that we typically talk to that logical person. However, it's the elephant that has all the power, that has the drive. That elephant is driven by emotion and instinct. So even if, for instance, in the video, the young lady might have been intending to speak rationally to the rider and redirect them and correct, it was obviously correcting feedback. One thing I think we all are clear on is you're not moving the beast that way, right? You're not going to get us to really ingest the information that's intended to be providing if you're speaking in a way that's violating our emotions, that feels like an attack. It's just not going to be effective. Whether or not the information is probably some good correction, that's just not an effective way to give feedback to someone. So how should we give feedback? I'd love to share 3 strategies very briefly on how we could give feedback in ways that will make it effective. So the first is a framework, SBI. SBI stands for situation, behavior, impact. Essentially, when you're giving feedback, clarify the situation. So let me be specific about what situation I'm talking to. In the video, we just described something happening in real time. However, regularly in our real lives, maybe at work, we're really giving feedback on a meeting that's happened in the past, or behavior somebody might have demonstrated previously. It's very important, instead of saying, Yolanda, I've seen in general, sometimes you can X, Y, or Z. That's not very clear. It would be much more effective for me to say, Yolanda, we were on a preparatory meeting for this Toastmasters session, and I observed a behavior. That way, Yolanda is very oriented into exactly what I'm talking about. The behavior, SBI, behavior, specifically describe the behavior you observed. Now, behavior that was observed is the key here. One of the things that we can do that even happened in that video, the client described her perception, her characterization. You're ignorant. I can't observe ignorant, right? What I can say is, ma'am, you used language that made everyone visibly uncomfortable, because I did observe that. I observed the language and observed the visible discomfort. So consider when you're clarifying that you're making sure to describe observed behavior and that you're describing the impact of that behavior. Because everyone was much more visibly impacted, I would encourage you that this is not making the salon feel like a place we want to do business. Again, situation, behavior, and impact will allow you to, that's a framework that allows you to provide very specific, clear, and easy to follow feedback. Second thing to consider, partnership. There are instances, particularly in workplace settings, where maybe you're a manager of a person. It can be easy to talk down to someone and sort of come in leveraging maybe your position or rank. However, for feedback to be most beneficially received, consider employing partnership. Instead of entering from a standpoint of I'm an authority and I'm telling you what to do, maybe take time to understand and question what a person was intending. Ensure that you've communicated that I'd love to share some information because I know we all want the same outcome, which is great performance. Partnership as a model for thinking allows you to feel like you and the person receiving the feedback are on the same level. And when they feel that you're on the same level and that you're having a conversation about a shared outcome of growth and improvement, then typically folks are able to interpret and receive the feedback a little bit more appropriately without being triggered, kind of like Natanya spoke about some of the triggering this morning. Last thing is consider the role of balance. Now, we hear rules of thumb like 80-20. We hear rules of thumb like 80-20. It's not always possible for us to have an 80-20 balance. However, when possible, consider sharing not only strengths that a person is demonstrating, but also opportunities very specifically. Again, in what you observe and the impact that your observations have. I see that I'm getting a red light. I'm going to wrap up with one thought on receiving feedback. Receiving feedback. I do believe feedback is a gift, and sometimes the gift is like grandma's ugly sweater. What do? Well, you thank the person for the gift. You give yourself the space to receive that gift as needed, and you consider, well, what is valuable in the box? If it's a sweater, this sweater keeps me warm. If it's feedback that's correcting a behavior, you consider, how can I find this valuable? It may feel a little ugly. It may not always be packaged the way I like, but grandma's sweater has a lot of value. How can I find the most value from it? This has been my time. Thank you so much, Toastmasters. I am going to share my contact information very briefly. If you have any questions or would like to continue the conversation, I'd be very happy to. Thank you so much.
Woohoo! All right, come off mute and give a round of applause for Toastmaster Jerome delivering the ways of feedback, both to give and receive. You guys, are you connecting what Jerome is sharing about feedback and what Natanya shared earlier about understanding your emotional intelligence? Are you drawing the parallels and how all of those together elevate your soft skills? You should be. Those are some wisdom nuggets being dropped in here. All right. Jerome, thank you so much for that presentation. You guys, we are on fire and we have one more session to go. But first, I want you to go over to Mentimeter and I want you to drop in those impactful moments. What did you learn? What can you take away right now to level up your game in giving and receiving feedback? You know, one of the things I know best, delivering truth with kindness, always goes a lot farther than delivering it any other way. When we're giving and receiving feedback, there's always something to consider. So I want to see what you've learned, what you've taken away. So share those with me so that we can see together. All right, treat like grandmother sweater. Love it. Yes, loved that visual. Feedback is a true gift and reflection. Giving feedback is to help someone not make them wrong. Feedback is a gift. Think of grandma's ugly sweater. Yes, absolutely. SBI, I loved the acronym. Yes, feedback is a gift. Clear, easy feedback. Listening before sending feedback. Think first, good feedback, not negative. Even if you don't see the value, reflect on how it can be helpful. These are great. Y'all, I hope you are taking all of these nuggets away and you are making note of how you can elevate with your own soft skills and delivery. All right, we have one more session. Y'all, we saved the best for last. Can I just tell y'all? We have saved the best for last. Next up will be our session on Align and Thrive, turning conflict into collaboration with none other than our regional advisor, Perry Neal, and district director, Tanisha Bulla. Now, you've heard a little bit from Perry already, so I'm just going to share some highlights. Perry, in 2023, wanted to continue serving Toastmasters, so he applied to serve as a region advisor and was appointed to Region 7 advisor. As well, he will also be talking about conflict resolution. They say only two things are certain in life, death and taxes. Well, Perry wants you to know that he would also add conflict as one of those certainties. In addition to that, we know that in Align and Thrive, turning conflict into collaboration, this next session, we are going to be turning some potential roadblocks into opportunities for growth, teaching us how to lead with compassion and drive collaboration that elevates every project. And Perry's co-host for this session is none other than our district director, Tanisha Bulla, who has been a member of Toastmasters since 2015. And of course, we know she's held several leadership roles, as most current as our district director. She joined Bank of America's global commercial banking team in 2015, has risen up through the ranks to take on the role of director, treasury sales manager, where she supervises a large team of 13 individuals across the East Coast. What we might not know, and I love to share these tidbits, is she's also a dedicated wife and mother that finds joy in all things fashion, poetry, music, art. And she has a passion for motivating and empowering others. Her motto in life is to leave people, places, and things better than when she found them. She's from Youngstown, Ohio, and has been a self-proclaimed sports fanatic. She's a devoted fan and plays basketball and volleyball recreationally. Ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, help me welcome to the stage Regional Advisor Perry Neal and District Director Tanisha Bulla. Align and Thrive, turning conflict into collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you. Tanisha also has the really great quality of being a rabid Ohio State Buckeyes fan, and our Buckeyes are playing Northwestern right now as we speak. So I think I'm going to get us started off with talking about conflict, and let me start by, actually, I guess I ought to share my screen, shouldn't I? That helps. Let me get there. Can't seem to find it. Hold on a phone. Okay, can't get my PowerPoint to launch. Let me stop sharing. All right, am I sharing or not sharing? Sorry about this, folks. There we go. Now I'll share. And you should see my screen now if I'm not mistaken. Okay, great. Well, let's start off by talking the fact that conflict is a part of life. I mean, we're individuals and we're not all going to feel the same way about everything. I mean, honestly, how boring would that be? I mean, look at your workplace. We disagree over policies, decisions, ideas, or even strategies. In our personal lives, I cannot possibly be the only person here who's had a, let's call it a spirited discussion with my significant other over finances, disciplining the children, parenting the children. Even in Toastmasters, we agree over everything. For those of you on the free Toast platform, you know you can print out your agenda in different formats. Well, I happen to believe that the one that I use is the correct absolute one, and nobody else should use anything different. But unfortunately, other people, when they're Toastmasters, they feel differently. How the role should be performed, there can be conflict there. Changing the meeting time, day, location. I'm telling you, my club, at one point we got up to like 50 or 60 meetings and it was hard to get a speaking slot. So I advocated going to weekly meetings instead of twice a month. Folks, it almost went to war over that. And this is not even started on politics and religion. But conflict doesn't always have to be bad. When it's addressed and resolved, it can actually lead to positive changes, increased productivity, better decisions, innovation, bonding. I mean, when I was in the Navy, we had a guy that came on the ship in another department. I loathed him from the moment he walked on the board. Hadn't even talked to me and I couldn't stand him. He ended up becoming one of my best friends. And if conflict isn't resolved, it can lead to the opposite: poor productivity, low morale, distrust, and failure to meet the team's goals. I mean, and flat out, a leader has got to know how to handle conflict. Now, I always like to start off with some definitions to make sure that we're all on the same page. So, conflicts when two or more people have differences, real or imagined, that are not resolved. Now, you notice it says real or imagined. Now, the fellow husbands online today, I think you can relate to me. I know full well, or we know the full well, it is absolutely possible to be losing an argument that you don't even realize you're having. I do it all the time. And I'm going to tell you that as leaders, you've got two chances to avoid conflict. One is zero. The other one, well, that's also zero too, but I just wanted you to think that maybe there was some hope. And conflict resolution. This is whatever you do to identify and address conflict in a mature and respectful manner. And I want to stress the words mature and respectful. So let's talk about the different types of conflict. Now, I'm sure you can find more, but for the purposes of this presentation, there are 4 basic types of conflict. Number 1, let's start with contentious personalities. As humans, we are complex and complicated beings. There are so many things that go into shaping our natures and our dispositions. Our parents, the culture we were raised in, our community and our experiences, all that goes into making the people we are. And sometimes, like I alluded to earlier, people just flat out don't like each other and they clash. And I'm sure some of you have had the experience. You were introduced to somebody and just could not stand them from the moment you met them. So see if any of these contentious personalities sound familiar. A know-it-all. My wife would argue that is me. An argumentative individual. My wife would also say that's me. But I like to explain to her, I am not arguing. She says, what are you doing? I said, I'm simply explaining why I'm right and they're wrong. I mean, it's very simple. A people pleaser, definitely not accused of that. A narcissist, keep your opinions to yourselves, please, thank you. And a self-loather. Now, I want to say, if none of these personalities look familiar, if you have never met a single one of these people, maybe it's you. I'm just saying, you gotta be open to it. Misunderstanding. This is probably the biggest category of conflict, especially in Toastmasters. Already this year, I've had to deal with conflict among a trio, and it all came down from a misunderstanding. One person said one thing, and the other person misinterpreted it. And instead of asking them, I'm not sure what you meant by that, they just assumed they meant evil. You know, it's funny, we judge other people by their acts, but we judge ourselves by our intentions. Maybe we should kind of flip that around. Also, a misunderstanding, I've got a coworker. We share similar views on politics, religion, lifestyles, you name it. We will get into the most heated arguments about a subject. And if I stop and, call time out and I step back a minute, we're saying the exact same thing. We're just saying it with different words. Issues. Oh, sometimes we have differences with other people, other team members about their opinions, their objectives, preferences, or expectations about somebody or something. Styles of leadership. This is a big one. Every leader on here has a default way that they lead. I mean, 4 that come to my mind are authoritarian, democratic, charismatic, and passive. I'm sure you can identify others. And every one of us responds differently to those different leadership styles. So that's why if you want to be a good, effective leader, you need to be able to adapt your leadership style to the team members. All right, so let's talk about some methods for resolving conflict. First up on the hit parade, just ignore it. Now, for some small issues, this may be the way to go. Example, in my club where we were having the disagreement on agenda templates to use. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It's not going to affect the club's mission. So you can, the president can just ignore it. The only problem with this, if that doesn't work, the conflict can start festering and grow larger. Another tactic you can take is just smooth it over. This is a really good tactic if the issues are more important to the parties involved than they are to you or your team's goals. Now, one good thing about this, it preserves harmony and goodwill. Now, let me take a step back, and I should have said this earlier on. I'm approaching this as in you are stepping in as a mediator to resolve a conflict between 2 or more parties. You can use these tactics if you're involved in the conflict, but that wasn't the way I was looking at this when I drew it up. Force. Now, this one works good in an emergency when quick decisions are required. The only problem is this results in winners and losers, and I can guarantee you the losers are not going to be happy. And if any of you are parents, you've done this. If not, you've heard it. You will eat it and you will like it. Sound familiar? You're probably never going to see a need for this in Toastmasters. One thing I want to give you, if I can give you any kind of gift, I want you to remember the acronym RIOT, R-I-O-T. Relax, it's only Toastmasters. Nobody's ever died from doing Toastmasters, so just relax. Now, in my opinion, I joke a lot of time, compromise. A good compromise is when nobody is happy, but nobody is unhappy enough to do anything about it. Now, compromise is a good method for resolving conflict, but the problem is both parties lose a little in the solution. And when parties lose a little, they sometimes are less enthusiastic about supporting the solution. And finally, to my mind, collaboration is probably the best way to resolve a conflict. Because when the sides collaborate, they recognize the other side's needs as legitimate and important, and then they work together to arrive at an agreement that will resolve the conflict. This is the rare win-win solution. And when people win, when each side wins, as we said before, they've got a greater commitment to the solution and hopefully harbor no resentment, ill will, or distrust. So I'm just going to assume that you all believe, as I do, that collaboration is the way to go. And we're going to talk about, I think it's 5 steps to collaboration. Might be more, I forget. First thing you want to do is find the root cause. Sometimes symptoms can mask the real problem. If anybody's in sales on this call, you know this. The buyer will tell you, I don't like the color, I don't like the size, whatever have you. Real problem, they don't think they can afford it. You haven't established enough value. So be careful that the symptoms are not masking the real problem. And keep the discussion focused and don't let it digress or evolve. Please try to avoid whataboutism. I mean, ladies, you have an advantage when you argue with us men because we have a psychotic need to argue about one thing at a time. And I've noticed what a lot of ladies can do, and I'm not trying to stereotype. Oh, yeah? Well, what about this? You did blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but it sounds realistic. So, okay, it's probably what I did. So, yeah, try to stay away from whataboutism. And once you've determined the issues, focus on solutions, not blame. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the 5 whys method, WHY. It's a technique you can use when you're trying to get to the bottom of the root of a problem. Ask the question, why, 5 times. By the time you've asked it the 5th time, so like, why are our clubs losing member? Because blah, blah, blah. Well, why are they doing that? Because blah, blah, blah. And you just going on. By the time you get to the 4th or 5th level of why, it's a pretty good chance that you actually have the solution. Second tactic to facilitate collaboration, make sure everybody gets a chance to speak, because open communication is important, and it's important that the parties are allowed to express their views uninterrupted. Also stress that both sides should be respectful of and to the other side. The trio conflict that I had to step in, one of the things I did was I set ground rules. You're never going to use the word never. You're all not going to use the word always, because none of us never does something and none of us always does something. So don't use those 2 words. If you object to something that's being said, you make a note, because all 3 of you are going to speak, and then we're going to go back around again and make sure that give you a chance to respond to anything you heard that you disagreed with. You also want to make sure that the parties understand how the conflicts affecting team members' performance and preventing the team from achieving their goals. And whatever you do, try to avoid emotions, because emotions can only intensify a conflict. Keep them respectful and empathetic towards each other, and again, like I said before, don't let the discussion devolve into accusations and blame about who's right and who's wrong. Number 3, encourage everybody to listen. As the parties air their views and ideas, encourage everyone to listen intently to each other without interrupting. They can ask questions if needed, if that's what you agree on. When I was dealing with 3 people, I thought it best just to go around and then come back around. Remember, when we listen, we understand the other person's position. Here's what I would do. Make sure you restate their point in your own words to ensure that you understand the problem. But I think an even better tactic, if you have 2 parties in conflict, when the one person speaks, have the other person restate their position in their own words to make sure they understand it. Identify areas of agreement. You want to help them determine their key differences and discuss those differences to find the real issue or problem. Again, previous disagreements and behaviors should not be brought up. Like I said, my wife gets me that all the time. Every time I start to win an argument, oh yeah, remember when you did blah, blah, blah. Limit the discussion to the facts of what is happening now. This is probably even more important than identifying areas of disagreement. Most of the time, we agree on far more than we disagree. And once everybody has spoken, help them find areas in common that they have, such as their goals, their interests, their values. Then comes the search for solutions. Everybody involved in the conflict should be working together to develop a list of possible solutions, because if everybody's involved in finding the solution, you're going to have better buy-in from them. And then last, reach a consensus. We're going to go over this in a little bit more, but review the list of possible solutions, evaluate each suggestion, and then everybody involved in the conflict has to agree on what is the solution, the best solution. Okay, so to accomplish those steps 6 and 7 from the previous slide, we're going to explain a little thing called brainstorming. Now, first step is you write down every single idea that's mentioned without discussion, without evaluation, or any judgment. It's going to be tempting to say, we've tried that before, or that's way too expensive, and on and on and on. Please resist that temptation. Now, as the mediator or the senior person, you should be the last one to talk, because here's the problem. When you're a senior leader, and especially for the trio, they are considered senior leaders. Think about when you're at work. If the boss pops up and says, I think we ought to do ABC, the tendency is to go, okay, why should I suggest anything? Because the boss has already made up their mind. So as the senior leader or the mediator, you should not speak. Let them come up with the solutions. And then finally, at the end, if you see something that they missed, you can go over that. Discuss each suggestion. This is where you get a chance to evaluate the pros and cons, the cost, the practicality, the positives, the negatives. What now you want to do is you want to narrow down the list to the best suggestion that resolves it. This is where you take that discussion from before and you go through and all the parties have to agree, we're lining through this solution. We're not going to try this one because it's not practical. This one's too expensive. Go on and on and on. Whatever is left, you discuss until both sides can agree on the solution. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. To conclude with, as long as humans interact with each other, there is going to be conflict. And I know it can be difficult, but I really encourage you, try to view conflict as an opportunity to solve problems and keep everybody focused on the team's goals. I'm reading a book, or just finished reading a book, John Maxwell's new book called Leader Shift. Excellent book. I recommend it. He's got a quote in there I like. It's not about the role, it's about the goal. So when you're trying to solve a conflict, forget that you're the district director, forget your division director. You're worried about the goal. That's what you should be focused on. And frankly, conflict can be a great leadership opportunity, because remember, one of my firm beliefs is, if you are a good, effective leader, you're not afraid of challenges or crises, because that gives you an opportunity to shine. And then finally, an effective leader must be able to resolve conflict, because when everybody wins, that's when the team can focus on their goals. So I thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Tanisha.
Awesome. Good afternoon, District 44. Let's give it up for R.A. Perry and talking about conflict resolution and all the great nuggets that he's supplied for the team on the call today. So I have the pleasure of following up after conflict resolution to now talk about, how do we then collaborate? So we talked about all the things that could go wrong in the situation when you're trying to get agreement amongst your team, but how can you set the right environment and set things off the right way? So those that know me love that when I talk, I like you to talk back to me. So I have a question for the group. What's the biggest challenge you faced in team collaboration out of the 4 options on the screen? Communication gaps, different work styles, unequal effort, or lack of trust? And I'm going to ask for 2 people. I'm going to take the first 2 hands. It's going to be like Family Feud. The first 2 buzzers that come up, I'm going to call on you. I would love you to explain more about your choice and why you selected the one you did. So think about challenges that you have with team collaboration. Which of those 4 do you find to be the most difficult? And again, I would love 2 individuals to raise their hand and provide us with their thoughts on why they selected the choice that they chose. All right, I see 1 hand raised. Terry, we will go to you first, and then we'll go to Shay, I believe it is. And let me know if I'm wrong in pronouncing it, because we want to say it right. Terry, we'll go first to you.
Thank you, District Director. One of the things I noticed in us trying to recruit people to come to Toastmasters and continue coming is the travel time. And our club is virtual. So it really has been very effective because we are virtual. And one of the things is I'm also involved with a club that's not virtual. And they have problems with people who are virtual because they feel they're not there, like the people who are there. But one of the things I learned in my earlier years of Toastmasters, I joined in the late 90s, like 96, 97, during the Olympics, during the time of the Olympics in 96. To make a long story short, we had, I traveled all the way to Roswell, Georgia to get there, working in DeKalb County. So when you work 2 different counties, you stop, you rest. My girlfriend and I would both live in 2 different counties, would travel to Roswell. It's a lot of time and effort to come when you get off from work and to get there and still be in high spirits. You have to drink coffee along the way because you're worn out after working all day from your job, and you come in there, and so many of us come there like that. Who also I didn't have a family at that time. Some of the people that came to the Toastmasters Club, they had families. They had to get everything situated. Whether you're the male or female, you still have to get everything situated at home before you leave to get there. And so it was really, I think, the greatest thing that Toastmasters have done was to go virtual in more ways than one. But I think clubs who want the personal side have to be a little bit more open the people who are virtual, because we live in the in the real world today. We live in a world where we're all so busy in our hands, trying to wear different hats at the same time, trying to be there. We have to be a little bit more, I think, considerate to those who are virtual as well as those who are there. Those who are virtual want to be there more than the person who are not there. But again, if you got a family, you got this going on. One of the people in our group is doing the same experience I had in taking care of their parents. I took care of my mom. I came back to took care of my mom, so I know how that is right now. And you're trying to, do some socially things. This is the greatest thing to do. This is something that I think that we have to work on our whys. I love what Perry said about the 5 whys.
Yeah. So Terry, it sounds like to me you're talking about communication gaps, right? So
Exactly.
saying the difference between being in person as well as virtual and making sure that everybody has the same experience. So I love that. I think that's a big challenge when it comes to team collaboration, especially when you have some people in the room and then some virtually. So thank you so much for your feedback. I love that. Shay, I'm going to go to you next as well. So you had your hand raised. What are your thoughts on the biggest challenge faced with team collaboration?
I think mine would be a combination of A and B, but it's people who you have people that are more vocal and people that don't necessarily feel confident enough to speak up and provide their input, or are just not used to having that kind of team collaboration. They're used to being siloed and working on projects more independently. So it's getting those people who don't want to speak up engaged, while also appreciating and incorporating the input you get from those who are more engaged.
Absolutely. I'm a self-proclaimed extroverted introvert. So I relate to everything that you said, right? There are times when I want to be vocal and sometimes I'm a little bit sheltered and I want to feel the safe space before I provide my response. So I love that. That can be a challenge with team collaboration. How do you give everybody the same amount of space when one person may be more talkative than the other? So I love that. So we're going to talk today about the importance of team collaboration. So a couple of things that make it extremely important are, one is that it increases productivity. You want to be efficient in any leadership position that you take when you're managing a team. So anything that's going to promote the ability to be more productive, be more efficient, and get things done more effective, you want to use that to your advantage. You also want to hear from everyone. Shay gave a great example of that. We want to hear diverse perspectives because someone could give us the other side of the coin that we weren't even thinking about. They may come up with something that could stall the entire project, but because they came up with that idea, we can move forward with our goals. And lastly, you will get nowhere fast without trust on a team. That is the foundation of any team, and that helps strengthen the team. So being able to collaborate well will provide you with that sense of trust, as well as strengthen your relationships. So I want you all to think of a time that you were on a team, and what's one way that team collaboration positively impacted your work? I want you to drop those in the chat. Think about a time when you've been on a team and you've been positively impacted by team collaboration. And yes, you can be negatively impacted by team collaboration, but our goal is to focus on the positive. When have you been positively impacted by team collaboration? There was transparency. I love that in the chat. Delegating tasks and allow everyone's ideas to have representation on the project. Recognition of strengths. That's such an important and underused and underutilized tool. Being able to look at your team and say, person A is really strong here. Person B is strong here, and allowing those strengths to be highlighted. New and fresh ideas, being allowed to do our job. Hello, I love that one too, right? Has anyone ever been on a team and that one person wants to do everyone's role and they won't give space to the other people that are on the team? You have to allow space for everyone to contribute. That makes them feel like they're part of the team and builds that collaboration. So we're going to talk about a couple of elements of good team collaboration. And the first thing we're going to talk about is building trust and psychological safety. People don't talk about psychological safety enough. Think about mental health, right? So that's a piece of building good team collaboration. You want a space where you feel like it's open, you can be vulnerable and transparent, and you won't be judged or downed or shamed because of it. That's the great breeding ground for team collaboration, is to create a non-judgmental environment where everyone feels like they can share their opinions in a respectful way. You also want to be able to acknowledge everyone's contributions without there being any criticism behind those contributions. There's no such thing as a bad idea. We don't want to cross our arms or make noises when somebody gives their opinion, because there is no bad ideas. We want them to feel safe and for them to continue giving their ideas. Now, R.A. Perry in his session talked about brainstorming, and we're going to use a different process for this session. We're going to do a bit of reverse brainstorming. What reverse brainstorming is us talking about the scenario that we do not want to happen, so that when we leave today and we go out into our own individual teams, we can proactively make sure that these things don't come true. So thinking about building trust and psychological safety, we're going to look at this scenario that I am affectionately calling the silent contributor. Your team is discussing a project issue and Alex has been unusually quiet, even when asked for input. Meanwhile, Jordan dominates the conversation, dismissing others' ideas. After the meeting, you learned that Alex had a very creative solution, but didn't feel comfortable sharing it. So this is a scenario that we do not want to happen on our teams. And some of the things that you want to think about when thinking about this scenario are, why do you think Alex stayed silent? As a leader, that's what you should be thinking about. Why didn't Alex feel comfortable enough to share that idea with the team? You also want to think about, how could Jordan's behavior impact the team's trust? Because remember, trust is your foundation. So if I have a team member that is breaking the trust and dismantling the trust, they're breaking the foundation of the team. So we need to think about how that might distract the rest of the team. So I want you all to share in the chat, what's one word that you think would describe how Alex is feeling in this scenario? Why do you think Alex may have remained silent? What's one word that you would put for this scenario? Intimidated, absolutely. Unheard is also in the chat. Unseen, unheard, uncomfortable, shy, judge, all great words to dictate. And none of those words are how we want our teammates to feel whenever we're collaborating on a project. When we think about psychological safety, whenever we break that trust and break that safety, it harms the team's success, because those valuable contributions that Alex may have had have now been swallowed because he didn't feel safe in the environment. So we always want to make sure our teammates feel safe and heard and seen. The next thing that we'll talk about is communication techniques. We are all Toastmasters, so we know how valuable communication can be, but there are varied types of communication. And the types of communication that really help team collaboration are clear and concise. You want to be really direct and straightforward with whatever you're talking about amongst your teams as a leader. You want to actively listen. We've heard that a couple of times throughout our sessions today, to understand someone, not simply to respond to what they are saying. When you're just listening to respond, you essentially turn off your ears to being able to understand the person that's talking to you. And then you want to make sure that you're using language that makes people feel included, so that they know they're able to share what they have on their heart with the rest of the team. So as we look into our next scenario surrounding communication, we're going to look at the misunderstood message. Your team is on a tight deadline. During a meeting, Taylor, the lead, vaguely says, "Just get it done as soon as possible." Sam assumes the task is due by the week's end, while Chris thinks it's due today. The mixed timelines lead to missed expectations and frustrations. So there's extra frustration that can be added on when your communication is not clear and concise. Just get it done as soon as possible means very different things to very different people, as we see in this scenario. There are many things that went wrong here, because one, we had Sam that assumed one thing, we had Chris that assumed a different thing, and there was no leader there to explain who was right or if they both were wrong. So we have different people on the team doing different things. And essentially that's like having people in a boat and everyone's rowing in different directions. Where are you going fast if you have a team rowing in different directions? Nowhere fast. The next item that we're going to talk about is aligning team goals and roles. So it's really important to make sure you define your goals with your team and make sure everyone understands what the goals are and that it's a common and shared goals. As a leader, it's not just my goal, it's not just my outcome, it's not just my wins, it's the team's wins, it's the team's goals. And the more that you bring people into those goals with you, the more they feel a part of the team. And really, the more that they feel invested. And that's what you want as a leader. You want your team to feel like they have input and that you want them to feel invested. So you're going to define that common goal, and then you're going to clarify any roles and responsibilities that you want team members to have. So clearly saying, hey, person A, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. Hey, person B, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. That way everyone understands their roles, and more importantly, explaining how their role fits into the bigger scheme of things. It really helps some people understand that, hey, what you do inside of your Toastmasters club matters to the district as a whole. It makes a difference. And people enjoy being a part of the common goal of the entire group and understanding how their piece fits into the puzzle. And then you want to set expectations as well as accountability. So if you're giving out responsibilities, you want to set a timeline. You want to make sure that that other person understands what you expect of them. And then you want to hold them accountable for those roles and responsibilities that you have given them. So looking at this scenario, we're going to call that the vague roles. Your team is working on a tight deadline project to launch a product by the end of the quarter. The goal is clear, but roles are not defined. Jordan and Taylor both assume they are handling product testing, while Casey feels left out and unsure how to align marketing. Without clear ownership, things are slipping through the cracks. So can we see what happened in this scenario? We had two people working on the same thing, one person not understanding what she's supposed to be working on. And meanwhile, time keeps ticking. Time is one of those things in life that we cannot get back. It's extremely valuable, and you want to make sure you use your team members' times valuably. So you want to make sure that you're applying that accountability, setting those expectations, and giving all of that information to your teams. Embracing diverse perspectives is probably one of my favorite, because I've found that in teams, getting different perspectives has always led to phenomenal ideas. So we always want to make sure we embrace every single perspective in the room. You want to hear different viewpoints because that's what's going to drive innovation. And then innovation is going to help us move forward towards our goals even faster. You want to make sure, again, that we know people's strengths and their experiences and leverage those in the midst of moving towards your goals. Again, knowing that person A is strong in an area where you may be weak, you may want to put them in charge of that area instead of taking it on yourself as a leader. Where I've seen some pitfalls in leaders is that they want to take control of every aspect, even though it's not their strength. A true and good leader knows how to utilize their team well and put them in places to be successful so that the whole team succeeds. Again, remember, it's not a mission of I, it's a mission of we. We can get more done as a team than we can get done individually. And then we want to continue making sure that we share thoughts and ideas. After you've done a particular project, circle the team back up and get feedback. What went well? What didn't go well? What can we change the next time to make sure that you're gaining all of those perspectives? So looking at the scenario for this one, the uniform brainstorm. So your team is brainstorming for a new product launch, but most members share similar backgrounds and experiences. Sarah, who has experience in a different market, has a unique perspective, but hesitates to speak up, fearing her idea will not fit. The meeting ends, and the team settles on a solution that misses a valuable opportunity, limiting creativity and stifling innovation. So we have someone that had different experience, that had another perspective, but she didn't feel like she could share because there were so many people in the room that were saying the same thing. So again, we want to make sure that we embrace diverse viewpoints. Maybe in that meeting as a leader, you call on Sarah if you see that she's not speaking up and say, hey, Sarah, is there any ideas that you may have? I know that you've come from a different market. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and how we may be able to leverage that in this goal that we have now? It's really important for you to know your team. I think one of the best things that I've done as a leader is taking time to get to know people personally. Understand what they have going on in their lives, understand their strengths, their weaknesses, and how they operate. Because when you're in the meeting setting, then you can pull from those experiences the things that you know. Everyone's favorite word is accountability, right? Accountability and shared responsibility. We have to set clear expectations, and especially when there's deliverables that are involved when we are working on a project. So we want to make sure that we're going back to that clear and concise communication that we talked about previously. Checking in with your team regularly can help with accountability and making sure that the responsibility is shared. Remember, I said I like to get to know people personally. So understanding what's going on in their personal lives can help when it comes to those conversations about responsibility. Is there something going on in their personal life that you're aware of that may be hindering their success in the project that you're working on? So those are all things that you want to think about when it comes to accountability and shared responsibility. You also want to make sure that you encourage peer support and then constructive feedback. So I know that I've reached out to some of my fellow district directors and asked for feedback on things that I've done. Hey, I've done this in my district. What are your thoughts on that? What feedback can you provide? That person's not on my team, but they're a peer of mine. They're doing the same thing that I'm doing. So getting feedback from them can spark up different ideas to bring back to our district to make it better. So you want to make sure you're leveraging that support and then make sure that you're both giving and looking to receive constructive feedback. We'll talk about the unclear ownership. So your team is on a tight deadline to finalize a product launch. Tasks are assigned, but no one clarifies who will handle the final review. As the deadline nears, everyone assumes someone else will take charge. No one steps up, details are missed, and the launch is delayed. The lack of accountability leads to frustration and blame shifting from teammate to teammate. Has anyone ever seen this where it's kind of everybody pointing? I don't know if you've ever seen the Spider-Man picture where there's 3 Spider-Man and they're all pointing back at each other. That's what happens. We get into blame shifting when it's not clear who owns what. Well, I thought so-and-so was going to do it. Well, I thought person A was going to do it. So it's really important to have that accountability and that responsibility set up so that you can avoid the pitfalls of blame shifting. Again, this is our goal. We all want to take responsibility and accountability for it to make sure that it happens. The last one that we'll talk about, and Terry brought this up at the top of my time with you all, is tools and techniques for virtual collaboration. So you want to make sure that you're leveraging the proper technology to make sure that that virtual space can be created into a safe space. A piece of that could be testing out your technology in advance, having a run of show of sorts to make sure that everything is functioning and firing on all cylinders as it should, but making sure that you take that extra step to make sure that your technology is in place and that it's working. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Sometimes technology has a mind of its own. So I always tell people, have a backup plan. Make sure that you're prepared in the event that power goes out or in the event that Wi-Fi is not your friend that day so that you can still move forward. You want to, again, schedule regular check-ins and updates when it comes to speaking virtually, and then create guidelines for online communication. What will you talk about online and what will you not? I think it's really important for certain conversations to be held in other formats than virtually if it's a sensitive conversation. So what are some topics, if they happen in your team, that you want to make sure you give a phone call to your teammates instead of texting them? What are some conversations that are okay to have via email? Because maybe there's a collaborative way you can get more done in between meetings by emailing. But make sure you lay all those out for yourself so you know the difference between those types of communication and your team knows the difference between those. Thinking about virtual collaboration, we're going to talk about the disconnected meeting. Your team is working remotely and a virtual meeting is scheduled to discuss updates. However, not everyone is familiar with the platform, leading to confusion. Some struggle with screen sharing, others can't access a document, and the discussion becomes fragmented. Key points are missed and action items remain unclear, leaving the team frustrated and unsure of next steps. So I think we've all been in a meeting like this from a virtual standpoint at some point in time. So maybe it's you making sure you send out in advance the agenda with the topics that you're going to talk about and how the meeting will flow. So again, in the event that technology is not on your side, the meeting can still move forward because you prepared in advance. So it's really important when it comes to virtual meetings to make sure that you're being overly prepared in order to ensure that team collaboration can take place. So we're going to talk about a couple of the key takeaways from the discussion today on team collaboration. So remember, we're building trust and psychological safety, making sure people feel safe mentally, they feel like they've been seen and that they can be heard. Communicate with clarity and respect. And I'll say it again, with respect. Jerome had a great video that he showed us. And while there were some points that were truthful, at the end, some of that respect started to waver. We want to keep that respect intact. Sometimes it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. I always tell people, I can hear anything, I can get any feedback, but it does make a difference how you say it to me. I want to be respected just like you want to be respected. So treat others the way that you want to be treated. Embrace diverse perspectives. Again, that can give us some innovation, that can give us creative ideas that we may not have thought of, and that again creates a safe space for everyone. Foster accountability and shared responsibility. So making sure that you provide and delegate tasks, and then make sure you hold the individuals that have those tasks accountable for completing those and seeing those through to the end of the project. And then we'll talk a little bit about how you can apply these techniques within your team. So the last thing I want to ask the team is, which collaborative practice will you prioritize in your team? So you can drop that in the chat. I'll also take a hand or two if anyone wants to talk about which one they're going to make sure that they incorporate into their team. So I got accountability in the chat, clear communication. Earl, I see your hand up. You want to tell us which one you're selecting and why? And once you come off of mute, we'll be able to hear all the amazing responses surrounding your choice.
Okay, sorry about that. I was lip syncing over there. No, I think the clear communication for me is probably going to be a priority. I believe that that could eliminate a lot of unresolved kind of conflicts, but with the clear communication. But I think what happens a lot of time when the communication is not clear, Perry talked about this, you have like actual conflict, but then you also have perceived conflicts that may not even be an issue if you communicate clearly. But especially, as it relates to like these online meetings, since everybody's meeting more online, having those agendas and being overly prepared just in case the technology is not functioning properly or there's a snafu or, just something happens. If the agenda's out there, we're communicating clearly, we're prepared prior to, you can probably salvage that meeting and have a good meeting even if something happens. So.
Absolutely. I think that's a great one, clear communication. I read a statistic that companies that have 100 employees or more typically lose about $400,000 a year in revenue due to miscommunication. That tells me two things. One, every company needs a Toastmasters club. Everybody look me in my eyes. Every company needs a Toastmasters club. And two, clear communication matters. So we need to make sure we're being clear and concise when we're communicating. So I will end my session today with a quote by Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. Team collaboration is your way to success. While R.A. Perry mentioned that there will be conflict along the way, the only way to achieve your goal in a team environment is to make sure that you are working together, staying together, and going lockstep and foot to the finish line. With that, I'm going to hand the virtual platform back over to our hostess with the mostest, Melissa Stevens, to move forward with the agenda.
Thank you, Tanisha. All right, everybody, give a big applause for Perry and Tanisha. Boy, way to bring it home. You guys, this has been an impactful, powerful today. I hope that you have gotten so much. I know I have got pages and pages of notes, and you should too. It's been lots of nuggets. All right, we're going to do another Mentimeter because I want to hear what you've learned about conflict resolution and team collaboration, because there was a lot happening in that session and a lot of goodness going on. So share that with me as we are coming to the close of today, but don't leave me yet. We've got a few things left to do, but I want to hear from you. What was impactful? What are you going to walk away with today? How is this session going to help you the next time you are finding yourself with conflict? The next time you're part of a team and you need to elevate the game, show me what you've learned today, because I'm telling you, this has been the best way to spend my afternoon because there has been so much. This has been so fantastic. All right, I'm seeing a few things. Clear communication is key. Clear goals, clear communication, building trust, team collaboration and communication. Everyone wants the slides. Yes, the recordings, because that was so good. Need to use that to share with my team. This was great. Trust and safe space are key. You guys, absolutely, strategies to work together as a group. Yes. And again, are you guys connecting the dots from understanding your emotional intelligence to feedback, giving and receiving, to conflict resolution? Because as we see, the conflict can definitely come up if giving and receiving feedback is not done in a way that is going to inspire and motivate, elevate for learning and growth. And team collaboration, where would we be if we couldn't work together as a team? We all know the importance of that. Embrace diversity. Trust is important. Building a well-oiled team, clear communication, cultivate trust. Yes, working on those relationships. You guys, these are awesome, awesome. Keep them coming. And while we're doing that, I just want to tell you how much I've had so much fun being your host today. Thank you for joining me with this. Thank you for inspiring each other, for supporting each other, and for showing up to elevate your own soft skills mastery. With that, I'm going to turn the podium back over to our own program quality director, Yolanda J., to take us home.
My heart burns with like so many feelings about today. It was so great. I feel like we actually didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough time. And I am so excited about your energy and all of the things that you have contributed. Shout out to you for getting off of mute a few times. I think that was Eric, right? And Shay. We appreciate you guys. I want to say a couple things before you go. I want to recognize distinguished Toastmaster Dwight Jones. He walked in the building today. Is he still here? Dwight Jones is our RA, but he is at home because we love him so much. He's at home in District 44, but we want to honor you as our region advisor, past region advisor / half co-region, whatever 7 does. We appreciate your mentorship. And then I saw, and I did not see, so please forgive me, Colleen from District 6. She's an IPDD. Is she still in the room? She's still in the room. Yeah, I don't see her, but we want to honor her. There she is. I remember you from conference. I saw you in the room. And there was IPDD Jackie Hauser. I saw her in the room. So we wanted to recognize you and all of our division directors that may have joined a little bit late and we didn't get to recognize you at the top. And our area directors, we could not do it without you. So we appreciate you being boots on the ground. One more virtual hands, give her some fingers, show her some love from Melissa Stevens, Serenity on Fire, for keeping us moving. All right, so my last and final before you go is asking you to complete the survey. I didn't drop it in a chat. So if someone else could drop that in a chat for me, that'd be great. But you will get an email too. Actually, I'll just send you an email. We'll send you an email if you would just go ahead and complete our event survey so we know what went well and what you are looking forward to seeing from District 44 in the future. I also, before we go, want to share with you some announcements. Oh, you know what? I closed my screen because I sent you guys you get the first dibs on the presentation. I saw that in the impactful moments. Are you excited about that? I've already put it together and I've already emailed it out. So, or texted out in just a few minutes. So you'll be getting that as we wrapped up. So I closed my screen, but I want to share with you a couple of Let me see. Don't go. Hold on. Because I was working for you and I closed my screen. All right. I want to share with you a couple of announcements. And before I get into those announcements, thank you to everyone that made this possible, our education team, and all of the presenters. They were amazing. Natanya, Jerome, R.A. Neal, and Tanisha. Thank you so much. All right, we got a few things happening over here at District 44 for the rest and the remainder of the year. Our newsletter went out, but we wanted to share for some of those who are not inside our newsletter distribution that we have a club growth event on November 20th with our host, Barbara Wallace, DTM. She's our CGD. So we hope that you come and check out I think that's a new members meetup. So a new members meetup, come and get introduced to our quad. We also are going into the community with Georgia Public Broadcasting. It is a partnership we've had for over a decade here at D44. It's a great way to build connections and to get the word out about Toastmasters. Are there any non-Toastmasters in the room? Any non-Toastmasters, drop it in the chat. We did invite lots and lots of people outside of District 44. So we would love to know. And if we see it in the chat, would you welcome them to this D44 Toastmaster event? And hey, snatch them up for your club. I'm just saying, but Paces West is here to greet. And I saw Ann Melanson join. So, Paces West is a great club. I mean, I don't know why I keep saying Paces West. It could be my home club. So I'm just saying, but if you're not a Toastmaster and you want to join, drop it in the comments and we'll definitely get a club closer to you. Is Abasadie George here? Oh my God, I think she's still here? Oh,
I
no.
am.
That's my girl. It's my girl. I've got to stop sharing the screen. She's our counterpart. She's my partner in crime over there at District 14. It's Abasadie George. I always say Abasadie, and it's Abasadie George. And we are so excited to see you. Wave your hand. I don't see you on the screen, but wave your hand because we absolutely adore our D14 partner. So she's the PQD over there. All right, thanks you for letting me do that. All right, so Buzz Brigade, you saw our PRM Special Sharice, and she is inviting all clubs. This is based on your feedback. She's inviting all clubs to post on our social media sites. So you have to submit it through her, follow the instructions. This was in our newsletter as well. You want to see it, we can drop it in a chat a little bit up close. But clubs, you've been asking to promote your events. This is your opportunity. Winter TLI is just around the corner, January 18th at 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Registration will open December 1st. In the meantime, we're looking for volunteers as well as presenters. Lots of presenters out here in D44 looking for opportunity to empower our members, and we need you. So come on, see those links on the screen, capture those, screenshot, and sign up. We need registration volunteers. We need VIP guest volunteers. We also need setup and breakdown volunteers and those to help with other logistics. So we would love to have you. Save the date. The Rise Up Annual Conference is coming. And the crowd goes wild. You can get to it at district44.org. /Rise Up Conference, but there's also the ability, like I said, to be a presenter even for this opportunity, to support our fundraisers or just to snag a business or club advertisement. So many things going on with our conference. Those tickets are already open. The early bird special is $199, but it's only until December 1st. Last, but certainly not least, our conference has a few fundraisers, and this is the one that's opening now. Our fundraiser is a 50-50 raffle, so you could win money just by participating. So we're very excited to re-announce that. You have any questions for me? You want to see something in the PQD land of education and training, you want us to bring you something, please email me. Let us know what you feel or drop it in a survey. That's all I have. I'm going to actually give Natanya.
Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, I just wanted to say any one of you who, as you're reflecting this fall about what you will do in the coming year, I invite you to put Toastmasters district leadership on your mind and on your thought list, because what wonderful opportunities are available to you to serve as a division director, an area director, or some role on the district team. So start thinking about that, because the call will be coming soon. Back to you, Yolanda.
What a great segue. We appreciate you. We enjoy you today. And that is it. The meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Did y'all snag up those non-Toastmasters? Did they put it in the chat? See you soon. See you soon. If you're a presenter, if you stay back just for 2 minutes, that'd be great.
Thank you. Great day, everyone.
See you later, Lee. Thank you for coming, Colleen. Good to see you participating.
This was an absolutely wonderful event. I really enjoyed it. It's great.
Thank you so much.
You guys know how to have fun too.